All right, looks like we have a relatively full house. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. Just want to thank you all for attending our webinar. This is Rethinking Data Protection with WTG NorthstarMS DataSentry, our co-managed backup and disaster recovery as a service offering. This morning, I'm joined by one of our most senior solution architects, Aaron Foynt. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning, Matt.
Aaron, what are you like? Are you like employee number 2 or 3 at Winslow? I feel like you're like the cornerstone here.
Not that low. I think it was like 10 or 11.
Okay, okay.
It's been a
And
while.
you also were one of our original Commvault SEs and implementation engineers a long time ago, right?
I was actually. That was one of the key things for me coming on board was my experience with Commvault as I was a customer for many years. So I was able to bring that expertise over to the sales side, and I did a lot of our early designs and a lot of installs as well.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you joining us this morning and talking through some of the tech. Commvault certainly changed a lot, and it really is an important driver and certainly powers our DataSentry solution.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Sure. All right. Little housekeeping. So this morning, I'm going to give you just a brief overview of the Winslow Technology Group. Talk about who we are, where we are, what we do, just a little bit about us. Then Aaron and I are going to review our service offering, so why we deliver it and how we deliver it as a service, and then some of the technical features that make it unique and how we kind of put it together to really offer a truly cyber resilient offering that's certainly beyond data protection. At the end, we'll have a little Q&A and wrap up. A little bit about the Winslow Technology Group. So the Winslow Technology Group is headquartered in Waltham, Massachusetts. I'm responsible for all of our post-sales services and cybersecurity, so professional services, managed services, staff augmentation, different support contracts, third-party relationships, and cybersecurity, which includes services and products and platforms. We're headquartered right outside of Boston in Waltham, Massachusetts. We have offices in New York City, Charlotte, and DC. We specialize in solutions from the desktop to the data center to the cloud. So that's compute, data storage, hyper-converged, hyperscale cloud nowadays, backup and restore, endpoint protection, and full mobile and desktop solutions from workstations, laptops, monitors to specialized, ruggedized, kind of cool stuff, and even laptops now that are AI ready with the NPU, the neural processing units, which is pretty cool. Again, I'm responsible for our services and security, so we'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. And our DataSentry offering that we're going to cover today is a managed backup service under the Northstar co-managed services umbrella. We also offer a full suite of network and cloud from architecture, design, wireless, LAN planning, WAN, LAN, the whole bit there, and then helping folks adopt cloud, whether it's public, private, or hybrid or multi-cloud, which is not on the slide here, but probably should be. What we like to do is identify game-changing technologies and really provide not just unparalleled technical expertise, but individuals, engineers, solutions architects like Aaron, who I have on the call, and his entire team, and my team of delivery engineers that not just follow the script, but are really passionate about what they do. Really love spending time with customers and helping you all take the best advantage of the technology that you have in front of you, and really have a focus on delivering high values of customer satisfaction. At the Winslow Technology Group, we try to make IT personal, so we really try to enable businesses to realize the full potential of their technology, and we do that through a solid passion of delivering really fantastic IT solutions and outcomes that provide exceptional value. So we combine our passion, expertise to really deliver those exceptional outcomes, and whether it's customers, employees, our partners, community, or investors, we treat everyone with the same white glove experience that old customers and hopefully new get to know of the Winslow Technology Group. Our overall services portfolio include our NorthstarMS co-managed services, which is what we'll talk about today. DataSentry is a component of that in that family of services. We have Atlas PS, which is our project services, where we offer data center and migration support, Microsoft M365, Azure, public cloud, security, network, Data protection, BCDR, we're going to talk about today, VDI, remote access, and a whole bunch of strategic and special projects type stuff as well. We have a combined technical engineering experience of over 300 years. A little bit about Northstar. So Northstar is our co-managed technology service. This means that we're co-managing and advising it with you. We don't offer any fully managed service offerings, if you will. We're not really replacing IT departments or thought leaders. We're really augmenting your staff and acting as an extension of your team, really attempting to reduce risk, increase efficiency, and provide peace of mind. So with that, I'd like to introduce WTG NorthstarMS DataSentry. So let's talk a little bit about the needs of modern data protection service. If you think about modern backup and data protection, it's certainly more than just DR, right? Where you're recovering an entire environment because of a natural disaster or something along those lines. It's more than just operational recovery, where someone needs a file restore, maybe a patch went sideways, you got to restore an entire VM, and maybe you're doing a database restore just because you need to clone an environment, and maybe you do that every day for developers or something like that. Maybe there's an e-discovery or compliance function that you need to perform from a recovery or at least data management perspective. And then I'd be remiss and completely, not speaking of a modern service if we didn't talk about cyber recovery. We do get involved in cyber incidents and help folks recover from some pretty ugly events. And I can tell you that at time of disaster, especially in terms of a cyber disaster, it is really difficult often to identify like what restore point you should restore to. If your hardware, or platform overall has been compromised, you need somewhere to restore it to. So restoring to swing hardware is often difficult. So maybe restoring to like a clean cloud environment may be better. In a cyber recovery world, it's important to have air-gapped immutable copies, not just on-prem, but off-site. And not just the actual data itself, but the actual management plane of the environment. And Aaron's going to get into that a little bit more down the road. Providing active scanning during restore. So how do you know for sure that what you've backed up and what you're restoring is good? These are all things you don't always have to do with operational recovery or disaster recovery, which makes cyber recovery sort of a unique animal. Along these lines, it's like you can identify a target RPO and RTO for perhaps a DR environment or even operational recovery, but like identifying an RTO and RPO with cyber recovery is really difficult because you don't know how far back necessarily you need to go. So 3 different types of recoveries and require different and unique expertise and a service and platform that really caters to all of them. Speaking of a platform versus a service, so there's a difference. This is a managed service that we're talking about here. It is powered by Commvault Cloud specifically. I like to characterize this as hardware and software are just tools, and services or us delivering this as a service put those tools to use in a value and useful way for your environment. So where on the left-hand side, you have a hardware and software platform, like you're procuring licenses and dealing with documentation. It's you setting it up, doing tuning and troubleshooting. It's usually reactive support, where you call in and then like a week later, someone calls you back. And you're responsible for everything, the monitoring, the maintenance, day-to-day operations, recovery, and everything. When something's delivered as a service, though, it takes all of that and buckets it into something that's consumable, that's pre-engineered as a service. It's led by experts that do this all the time. We offer a shared responsibility model for operations and recovery, ongoing monitoring, tuning, and optimization, and then 24/7 access to real engineers, for ongoing emergency support and certainly recovery as well. So that's the unique aspect of a service where we're here with you, and this certainly echoes the overall Northstar brand promise of reducing risk, increasing efficiency, and providing peace of mind. So with the resilient architecture, you spending less time on the DIY and tooling and more on your business priorities and actually using this to make your environment more resilient, if you will, from a cyber and data perspective, and then having someone you can call on 24/7 with real humans. So we actually answer the phone when you call and get an engineer on the line, pretty quick. That's what we do, and that's how we keep folks happy. So you're already doing backups. Well, you think you are anyway. So why does this matter? Why rethink your backup and data management and platform and strategy overall? So what we found is that backups tend to fail quietly. So that means that, if you're not alerting, maybe isn't configured correctly, you'll get to it someday. Backups just kind of could fail and keep failing for a variety of reasons. But like if you fail at a recovery, that's a pretty loud event, right? If you need to recover due to a cyber incident, even operational recovery, and you can't do it, that's usually pretty loud. We know that DR and cyber events are not theoretical, they're inevitable. So we know that most, if not all, organizations will be faced at least with a cyber event, maybe a DR event someday as well. And Reddit, love myself some Reddit. However, these days, especially with the chatbots and the AI that's I'll say contributing content to Reddit, Reddit ideally should not be your support channel. So consuming this as a service really provides a resilient, well-architected platform that's monitored by experts. It allows you to get the most from a platform without trial and error. So we've probably seen it if you want to configure it. We have a bunch of, I'll even say like exotic things going on with backup, data protection and data management overall that our Northstar team handles on a daily basis. So they can really help you get the most value on the most efficiency out of that platform. And then of course the peace of mind, like a second set of eyes. We're always on call and always ready to help you out. So of course you could DIY it, where you buy a license, you kind of like learn the platform, maybe take some training, you set it up, do a little maintenance on it, and you kind of hope it works when needed, and that you're not the only person trained in it. As opposed to that, our co-managed service includes licenses, expert-led design and setup. It's built for efficiency and resilience, and we have like real humans by name that are ready to help. And we actually have escalation directly to execs. So I sit on the Commvault Partner Advisory Board. If there's an issue I need to get escalated, I am more than happy to pick up the phone and do so. So love that and really appreciate the relationship that Winslow has with Commvault. So in this kind of co-managed model, we get this question often: who does what? So co-management means flexibility. Our co-managed agreements, whether it's DataSentry or otherwise, really are about flexibility and providing a framework, if you will, for the delivery of managed services in your environment. So you can do as much or as little as you want. You can do day-to-day ops if you want to. You can initiate restores. You can test recoveries. You can validate and have access to everything, so we don't limit access at all. And you maintain visibility and access, again, as much or as little as you want. What we're doing is platform management, providing upgrades, tuning, monitoring for health and performance, and backup failures in this case. We're providing you 24/7 support and remediation, in assisting in DR and certain cyber recovery events. So let's say we've co-developed a DR runbook together as part of the ongoing service. Over the course of 6 months, a year, we have this really solid DR runbook, and you need to invoke it, and someone's not able to do so. We can, of course, with your permission, we can push the button. We can push the button together, and so on. So that is the co-managed model.
Yeah, the thing I would add to that, man, is I can't tell you how many times we see customers that have the ability to do the management needed for a backup solution, but it's just being stretched in so many different ways and have so many different tasks on their plate that backup and recovery just drops off. It just becomes the lowest thing in the totem pole.
Yeah,
and that's what I love about this solution is they can continue to focus on the business needs in their environment, and we can co-manage this with them, doing as much or as little as they want, like you said, but really help them to make sure that somebody's paying attention to this, right?
Yeah.
Because we know if a situation does occur, this becomes the most critical thing in their environment, all of a sudden, that they need to recover from something.
It certainly does. And, I feel like along those lines, even in the middle of the night, if to your point there, if you need a little help, you need to call someone. Sometimes you call, you even put a Sev1 critical support ticket in with any vendor. You know how this goes, Aaron, right? And like you're waiting
Right.
hours and hours, maybe you hear back the next day, and sometimes you need help right away. Because most folks aren't really doing complicated restores or recovery often, right? Would you agree with that? I mean, it's not something they're doing literally daily.
Right. I would agree. Yeah. Yep. Just like anything else, if you're not doing it on a daily basis, you kind of forget about it, and you don't, you lose
Yeah.
that mental knowledge and capability to do something that you do on a repeated basis.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
only happens every once in a while.
Yep. So a little about how the model actually works. So we have this hybrid architecture, and Aaron will cover this a little bit in a minute. So there's a SaaS control plane that we use, which is again powered by Commvault Cloud. We use on-prem storage for quick restores, your local data retention. We have air-gapped cloud storage that provides both DR, so offsite copies, vaulted data, but also cyber resilience because it is air-gapped, it is immutable. We can protect you that. We have the whole suite of Commvault backup agents, which is literally impressive. Commvault's been around for 30 years. They have 30 years worth of R&D, backup agent technology, everything from your basic Windows, Oracle, SQL, IBM, Power, the whole bit. So certainly impressive, not just in terms of backup agent technology, but the cloud technology and certain aspects of cross-hypervisor restore, which Aaron will cover in a minute also. What our service model is, and partnering with Commvault to deliver this is it's a white glove service delivery, which is kind of the hallmark of Winslow in terms of customer satisfaction, customer first approach, and a real focus on outcomes. We provide shared admin access, so you're not, nothing is hidden. If you want access to everything, you'll get it. We provide the 24/7 emergency response, in addition, of course, to your standard, 8x5 ongoing operational support, and are providing continuous optimization, monitoring, and support. So why we partnered with Commvault and essentially power this offering by Commvault. Commvault has some unique technology that really is geared towards not just backup and data protection or even data management anymore, but true resilience, whether it's cyber resilience, disaster resilience for a hybrid world. So, a multi-cloud world, multi-SaaS app world, if you will. Commvault has industry-leading security in terms of cyber resilience, ransomware, early warning detection, cyber deception, AI built into the platform, and flexible, fast recovery options. So recovering at scale, whether it's something like a simple VM, 100 VMs, 1,000 VMs, 100 terabyte VM, or full forest level Active Directory recovery, which is something also Aaron's going to cover, is certainly possible. And these are the reasons why we've chosen this to power our DataSentry service. So one of the notions that's coming up more and more is this whole concept of the minimum viable business. So as cyber attacks and other catastrophic events are becoming more frequent, cyber attacks are certainly more sophisticated. There is an average cost of business downtime. In this study, it was estimated about 14,000 per minute. We can tell you based on the average incident, of customers that, or other folks that we've worked on or consulted on in terms of cyber incidents, it's about 750,000 per incident. They're expensive, really, really expensive, and can be very burdensome for folks. So really understanding what your minimum viability is. So understanding and defining your essential systems, critical data, critical processes that are core to recovery and core to keeping your business operational, or organization operational, I should say, during and of course immediately after a cyber attack is critical. So you may not need to restore, like, I don't know, Aaron, I don't know, do the kids run Plex anymore? I don't even know that. I don't know if you need to restore the Plex server right away or the Office NAS with all the MP3s on it, but you probably want to get that ERP up and running pretty quickly. Right? So like understanding what's critical, this certainly bleeds into data classification, data governance, and really understanding what's critical and not. But one of the things we certainly recommend is understanding from a business and operational perspective what your minimum viability is. Like, what's the minimum you can you can have up and running to actually be a relatively functional business or organization. So we use Commvault again to deliver this, both in terms of protecting critical data, prioritizing recovery efforts, and really helping you co-develop, validate, and co-author recovery plan with regular testing. Some of the unique features with Commvault that Eric's going to cover in a minute that we're able to provide as part of this offering is Active Directory and Entra ID protection, air gap protect in terms of data and the management plane, clean room recovery, which allows for an isolated cloud location with secure restores, perhaps even integrating it with your EDR, for example, for scanning and ongoing forensics and production recovery. And then Cloud Rewind, which is an amazing technology that allows you to recover not just, when you think of cloud recovery, it's not just about data, it's about configuration state. And if, an organization has a complex infrastructure as code environment, that's certainly one thing. But if you don't know how to kind of rewind after, a cloud environment, is compromised or tampered with, it can be really, really complicated to do that. And Cloud Rewind is a very unique offering that, we can offer as part of DataSentry to really protect and rebuild, similar to if you were running, infrastructure as code, essentially, your entire cloud environment in literally minutes. It's amazing technology. So with that, I'm going to shut up for a little bit and turn it over to Aaron, and he's going to go through some of the different aspects of, from a technical perspective, of our offering and what we felt like highlighting from a Winslow Commvault perspective.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, so when we talk about the DataSentry platform being built on Commvault, I think the most important thing to understand from the start is, unlike the traditional software Commvault solution that we're used to in the past, the entire management plane, the control plane, fully lives in the cloud, right? So it's a SaaS platform from a management plane. And what's so great about that is not only do you don't have to worry about securing it on-prem, making sure it's patched, opening support and managing that on a day-to-day basis, but it's really more about the cybersecurity, right? Having that management control plane in the cloud means that design, the control plane, is air gapped and immutable. So if something does happen to your environment, you can still get access to your backups. You don't have to worry about the threat actor destroying the catalog, the threat actor gained access to the underlying hardware in the environment, and they got into the ILO or the iDRAC and they wiped out the drives, right? Which we've seen happen, things like that. So it just gives you that peace of mind that that the interface and the access to all your backups, the catalog, the ability to recover from any point in time is secured in that sort of way. And then from there, right, we can then still plug and play into any type of solution you have. So signal management interface, we can back up all your SaaS solutions, your M365, everything that's in the cloud today, and still have access to protect the data that's on-prem. So it truly is a full hybrid solution. We have the ability to store backup copies on-prem. We can make copies of those backups and send them air gap to the cloud. So the Commvault DataSentry solution has its own air gap storage solution that's built into the Azure tenant. You can feel confident that that data is immutable by design. So if you need to recover from something that you can't get a copy of on-prem, you can always get that copy in the cloud. You have stuff that's in the cloud already. You're running infrastructure in the cloud. You can have that stuff go straight to air gap M365 as well. You don't need to have to bring those copies back on-prem unless you really need to. On top of that, you don't need any special hardware or any cloud storage accounts, right? It fully supports native worm, object locks, the snapshot capabilities, and a bunch of different storage arrays are built into the Commvault technology as well.
I'd say, Aaron, too, before you move on from that, the notion of the immutable or the air gap management plane is huge in that context of threat actors in an environment. So I'll say, like, legacy environments, how often is it we see that that backup system is heavily tampered with? And
Yeah.
in this case, with the brains of the operation kind of like running in Commvault Cloud as a SaaS offering, it would be virtually impossible for a threat actor to pivot to the cloud environment and actually tamper with backup catalogs, encryption keys, and things of that nature. So even if odd chance they wiped out the local storage, because everything is backed up, to the cloud and the management brains are in the cloud, there's no complicated recovery, especially like when you need this solution most. So I think the air gap management plane is like a huge differentiator here as well from like a security and cyber resilience perspective.
Yeah, definitely. So then we're going to talk about, and there's so many different things that Commvault does that we could cover. So we got a highlight here. We think there's some, hot topics that are, people are talking about or looking for capabilities to do these things today. And what's great is, we can do all of them within Commvault. So the first one here is the ability to protect and recover your directory services, whether it's on-prem with AD or in the cloud with Entra ID or both, right? So one of the things that Commvault just announced is the ability to automate forest level recovery. And there's been other products in the past that back up and recover Active Directory, but as one thing you almost never want to recover is Active Directory. It's complicated. There's a lot that goes involved to it. If it doesn't recover right, you're talking about rebuilding from scratch and manually recreating accounts, and everything is tied into it today. All your directory authentication for all your applications are tying back to AD or Entra ID. So to have the peace of mind to know that you can protect that, especially in a ransomware type event, and be able to recover that at any level, whether it's an individual item or the full forest, right? To be able to say we're taking regular backups of that, and we have that protected in an air gap way, so that if something happened, we can bring that right back to us.
I mean, how often is it too we get involved in a cyber incident and we're literally being brought in with the intentional purpose of recovering Active Directory, because it is not as simple as like we'll just restore the domain controller or the AD controller and go from there. So like the first things that threat actors do, right, is like attempt and fully compromise AD. Like that's what they do. So like having this forest level recovery was interesting from a business resilience perspective even years ago, but it's kind of taken on a new life, you think, in the context of like cyber today. Yeah,
especially since for a while now a lot of products have had the ability to recover M365, right? Well, if you got M365 or Dynamics or whatever, these things are all tied into your directory services, so you can't bring back one without the other.
Yep.
Another great thing that we're really excited about, and Matt touched upon this a little bit earlier, is Cloud Rewind, right? We're so focused on protecting data and recovering data, and everybody's in the hybrid cloud world today. So whether you're in one public cloud provider or you're multi-cloud or you have stuff on-prem, there's a little bit of something out there. And the more time you spend, with your cloud journey, the more you have configured up there, the more settings, the more different things you've set up and networks. Just think about all the different things that goes into building out, an Azure environment, an AWS environment, so on and so forth. Recovering the data is great, but what happens if that configuration is gone, right? What happens if you have a rogue admin, or somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed one day and clicked the wrong button and deleted a whole environment, right? To be able to rewind that to a specific point in time is huge. The amount of time and hours and the investment that goes into building a public cloud environment. I don't think a lot of people realize how much goes into that and what would happen if that wasn't there. And then one thing I love to talk about today, fortunately or unfortunately, is what do we do with hypervisors, right? Big thing in the news, everything that happened with VMware, the alternatives that are out there, and the discussions about, do we pay the fine and continue moving on with what we have, or do we look at moving into something else? So one of the things we love about Commvault, and they've been doing this for a while now, is the flexibility to protect every hypervisor that's out there today, whether it's one that you run on-prem or it's one of the public cloud solutions you'll see here on this eye chart. There's so many options out there. But what's really great is it gives the ability to convert. So without having to, manually can figure out how to do this, you can take a protection of let's say a VMware environment and recover it as AHV or Hyper-V. You can also use this for disaster recovery purposes. Maybe you're running one platform on-prem, but you want the ability to be able to recover into the cloud if there's a disaster. Maybe you're an Azure shop, and if something really happened, yeah, you don't want to pay for those VMs to run up there 24/7. But boy, would it be nice to take that VMware VM and recover it into Azure natively if you had some type of a BCDR event. Well, Commvault can enable you to do that. And it's more than just, I can click a button and I can say restore as this hypervisor. It can be all the way down to automated, right? You can define, your recoveries. You can set a schedule as to how often you're replicating those to the cloud. And then if you had an event, you can click a few buttons and be able to convert that resource over. And then we also wanted to highlight the ability to do endpoint protection, right? We're talking about all the different things that Commvault can do. We can protect all those SaaS workflows. We protect your file, your virtual machine on-prem. What's nice here is, you can have a one-stop shop for data protection, right? What about those endpoints? What are you still, what are you using in your environment today if you have a requirement to protect the data on the endpoint, to be able to have access to those devices to wipe them if it goes missing? To be able to recover, individual items. How do you make sure that those devices, when they're, on the network, off the network, wherever they're working from that day, like we all work from wherever we are, home or a coffee shop or on the road, be able to have that, the ability to have it silently be protected so that we can recover it. And then also from an e-discovery and compliance perspective, right? What if we need to retain that data? We need to make sure we know where our data is going and we have access to it at all time, including the endpoints. Well, we can wrap that into this Commvault solution as well.
Aaron, to hit on that one, that's like a really powerful use case, because I would say legacy solutions that use the horsepower of the endpoint to index and search for content, which is how most of these solutions works, but it's really expensive and impactful to a user, whether it's at logon or over time. So like using backup data in a novel way, perhaps it's not that novel anymore, but for e-discovery and compliance, like rather than searching endpoints, is just such a different way of thinking about how to meet compliance requirements, how to perform e-discovery, and locating and identifying certain types of data across the platform without having to burden users, or if like maybe a laptop is stolen, or maybe there's ransomware on it, and you need to understand like, well, what data did that threat actor have access to? You certainly don't want to plug that laptop back in, right? So using like backup data to understand what risk the organization had by the threat actor compromising that laptop is really, really important. So to your point earlier, I would not underestimate the power of real endpoint solutions in terms of backup and data protection.
Great point, Matt.
All right. So first, we wanted to thank you very much for joining us today. I know we may be a couple minutes over. Some folks have posted some questions along the way in the chat, so we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, I did want to offer a couple things. First, I'd like to offer what I'll call a pop the hood call. I guess with like modern electric cars, it's more of popping the frunk, and there's not much to see in there other than usually some empty space and like the windshield washer fill up. But in the old days when we had gasoline cars, pop the hood for 99% of cars anyways, was let's take a look at the engine, take a look at what's going on. So if you want to meet with our backup or business continuity, disaster recovery, security engineers, just to chalk talk, review your current setup. You want to talk with Aaron about how things could be done differently. If you're having like a chronic concern, maybe you failed something in a tabletop, maybe you've never done a tabletop and you're like, how would we fare? It's a good way to engage, and we're happy to provide a little suggestive advice, I'll say, along the way there. We also offer a no-cost BCDR assessment. So this is NIST 834 based. What it'll help you do, and you'll get a nice report at the end of this, is really understand where you're at with processes and your maturity, if you will, with having a true business continuity disaster recovery environment, from a NIST, standard perspective. And then last but not least, if this was interesting to you and you're like, cool, I'm sold, I'd like to understand how much it costs, definitely reach out to your account exec, your Winslow rep, and we're happy to quote this out for you. It's pretty simple for us to spec and scope this. And we're more than happy to build, a proposal or get you a quote for DataSentry as well. So 3 things, pop the hood with an engineer for a little bit of time, like Aaron or one of his peers. No cost 834 assessment. So that's a great way to, again, to identify and understand where you are with the your DR planning, your DR strategy towards a real framework. And then this is all interesting to you and you just want to get started, just ask. We're happy to get you a quote and see what that would look like in your environment. With that, there are a couple questions in the chat here. We are a couple minutes over, so Aaron, I guess I'll start. I'll take the first one here. So what does the managed service include or cover? So that's a good question. So DataSentry in the broader Northstar services portfolio includes providing expert support, monitoring and alerting, proactive activity like monthly health checks, monthly report cards, quarterly deep dives. So that could be, performing an operational recovery. It could be doing a health check on an environment, something along those lines. Could be a DR tabletop. We've done that before, actually, doing restore simulations and such. In the case of DataSentry, we are offering discounted licensing, if you will, as part of it too. So, we work with Commvault, have service provider licensing. So we do include the licensing as part of this. And what else do we offer? 24/7 emergency support too. So that's what the managed service includes or covers, if you will. So I'd suggest if anyone's interested in that, best have like maybe a call off to the side, and we can talk you through it. Aaron, the next one's a little technical, if you don't mind. If I have an on-premise NAS, can I use that for my local repository storage? So that, I think this goes back to that that kind of architecture slide we had in the middle.
Yep, great question. Yeah, and the answer is yes, right? That's one of the things we love about Commvault. It's really flexible. You're not locked into a specific hardware vendor or hardware configuration. You can use existing technologies, servers and storage that you have. So absolutely, you can use that NAS device for doing your local backups. You can take use the SIPS mount from that device to store backups on that NAS device. So yeah, that's a great question. We can definitely work with our customers when we're scoping things to see if there's technology they already have that they can use towards moving towards the Commvault.
Yeah, I think that speaks to our value. Like, we're trying to offer a service here that's like value oriented, not that it's cheap, but value oriented. And like us trying to like sell hardware in the middle of it when you have something like a NAS on-prem that's suitable for the use, we're more than happy to just use that. So Commvault allows us to do that because it's super flexible. Cool. All right, last question here. Do you offer BCDR planning services? So I would assume this is, just by the question, this would usually be like business impact analysis, helping with developing run books and things of that nature. So yes, we do. Oftentimes, true BCDR planning services are a separate engagement from DataSentry, where we would do a fixed priced scope of work to help you develop and whatever documents, procedures, or whatever planning or strategy services you need. That said, we can co-develop and co-author things like run books and operational procedures that would lend themselves to the operational delivery of a manager or co-managed service in this case. So yes, we do, and depending on what you're looking for, or the scope of that, it may be a separate engagement, and it may be something that's covered in terms of the expert support level, if you will, under Northstar. So Unfortunately, we are all out of time. There's a couple more questions left, so we'll follow up with folks after that. Sorry, we didn't get to you. Aaron, I'm going to put you on the spot. Any closing thoughts before we wrap for the morning?
Yeah, I guess just real quick, right? Just excited to be able to offer this solution with Commvault. You know, both Matt and I have a lot of experience with this product going way back. You know, and so it's nice to see Commvault, you know, kind of growing up and moving into this SaaS-based space from a management and control plane perspective to kind of get the best of breed of this great technology that allows you to do a lot of fun things with data protection and recovery, but also have this nice centralized SaaS-based product that we can help you manage.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, everyone. Well, I'd love to keep talking, some other like cool stories to share, but unfortunately, we are just totally out of time. So thank you very much. Really great questions. Appreciate your time this morning, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.